Who remembers the 60s? I don't, largely because I wasn't born, but I've read my history books and I know that it was kind of a time of, generations were deciding, do we want to stay and continue what we've been doing? Do we want to stay on this trajectory that we're on, the way that our grandparents and parents have been doing things? Or would we rather kind of radically shift or kind of do a revolutionary thing? Now, debating the merits of each of those is a discussion for another day, but I wanted to highlight an example of a community or a generation that said, we're going to keep doing things the way that we've been doing things. We're going to continue with the status quo. So I wanted to talk about the quaint little Welsh coal mining village of Aberfan. Now, they had decided, we may not be rich, we may not be handsome, but by golly, we have been in the coal mining business, and we are going to stay in the coal mining business. We see a great future in coal. It's been around for centuries, and we just, we see this continuing on. So the fathers would kiss their wives and pat their kids on the backs, and they would open the door to head out to the coal mine. And there was just kind of a fine black layer of soot on the ground. One of those quaint little villages, kind of every house is cookie cutter, it looked exactly the same. Now, I don't know how much you know about coal mining, but what you essentially have to do is you go into the earth and you excavate and then you take out, and you have a little bit of waste that comes out. The problem is, what do you do with this waste? That's the problem Aberfan faced. Where do we take this waste? So a decision was made, why don't we take it, we go to the very north end of town and go 80 paces past that and just put it there, we'll start a little pile there. That's what they did. A century later, so now we're in 1966, that little pile was a mountain 400 feet high. Now, October of 1966 had an unusually high precipitation rate, even by Welsh standards. So mine worker, on Friday, October 21st, the mine worker, John David Evans, walked up to a hill adjacent to the mountain to investigate reports that the mountain was slowly shifting and moving. Now, he didn't realize it at the time, but he'd just taken a front seat for one of the greatest mining disasters in history. Now, if you don't know this story, this 400-foot tall mountain literally crumbled and covered the quaint village of Aberfan under 30 feet of black sludge. That is a true story. So, how does this correlate to your business? Well, this mountain represents your volume of data. Your information is growing at an exponential rate. In fact, they say that this year's digital data will outpace the storage by a ratio of 2 to 1. Now, are you assessing if this growth of data is good or bad? Now, thinking back to the story, the townspeople saw this mountain as a sign of industry and prosperity. See, if that mountain was growing, that meant they were getting coal, and that meant they were earning money, and that afforded their homes. But underlying that pride, they had to look at that mountain and go, you know what, this is not a real long-term solution. We've got to find some way to address this. But maybe they just didn't know how, and nobody ever explained how to do it. How sustainable is your mountain of data? How do you access the information that's contained in that mountain? Now, this mountain, again, represents your data. You need to protect it because it matters. How do you manage that mountain of data? Well, with Iron Mountain. Only with Iron Mountain can you know you are protected. You are focused on strategic initiatives. You're focused on going in there you're focused on supporting the functions of getting that coal, getting as much coal as you can, as efficiently as you can, getting it to market and selling it at the highest price. That's your strategic goal. This is a tactical issue, managing it on the back end. Now, what if you could trust the management of this to a third-party provider that has the most robust security processes in the industry? Know you are protected. You will also be able to get back up and run. See, the threat of disaster is constant. You're constantly having to battle the threat of something. What if you could stop worrying about managing this large volume of information? What if you could convert all this information to tape and trust Iron Mountain with the resources, the technology, the proven experience, and the focus on managing your data and protecting your data as if it were our own? You need to manage this data because your business depends on it. And finally, you need to find what you need when you need it. There's something to be said that's very important about litigation matters and finding that data from that mountain of information when you need it. Only with Iron Mountain can you know you are protected, can you get back up and run, and can you find what you need when you need it. Now, this is now the Iron Mountain logo protecting your data tapes securely at Iron Mountain. There's something to be said for scare tactics, and as sales professionals we try to shy away from anything that's labeled as a scare tactic. But there's something entirely different about not calling naivety or complacency if it prevents proactivity. The Aberfound incident was a catastrophic loss of human life that was years in the making. Steps that could have been taken along the way to mitigate the risk were neglected. How catastrophic would a data calamity be at your business? So, what do you think? Where do we go from here?